I would like you to ask you some questions about how has been your trajectory through Pilates. How have you built your career? And I think it would be very valuable for our audience to also know on your perspectives on movement and how have you seen that our wonderful method has helped your clients. So, well, let's have a free flow of ideas, if you like.
Okay.
Yeah.
I started getting into the fitness industry as a second career.
Yes.
In the very early 90s, and as I was in a complete different other industry, but as an insulin-dependent diabetic,
Yes.
I was finding that I needed to stop doing an office job and devote myself to fitness. I also had lost my mother, who's also insulin-dependent diabetic,
Yes.
due to diabetic complications in my early 30s. And she had just started to develop an exercise program and had stopped. And I think that really would have helped her. My father was ill with cancer.
Oh.
And I just felt that I needed to devote myself to people to help, them through these different issues. I became a personal trainer, but immediately when I was going to conferences, saw the Pilates equipment at the very, very back of the conventions back in those days.
Yes.
And was intrigued. And meanwhile, I had been working at two physicians' office as their fitness director. I worked for a rehab center as the fitness director, and I worked for the Arthritis Foundation as a program director. And I got to work with lots of people with lots of issues, and it became passionate to me to see that movement can help to improve lives, help to heal, help to give better quality of life, and to help to manage anything from diabetes to arthritis in a much better way. I worked with knee replacements, hip replacements, not as a PT. Of course, I'm not I'm not a PT, but
Yes.
as post-rehabilitational.
Yes.
And I work with people pre and post surgery to help improve their strength before and after.
Yes.
At a certain point, the year my father died, I had spent, the last 5 years taking care of him and working in the fitness and Pilates industry. I opened the studio the year he died in his honor, and that was 22 years ago.
A long trajectory and a very challenging turning point in your life, career-wise
Yes.
and personally-wise and health-wise.
Yes,
Transformative experience.
very much so.
Yeah.
And I built a lot of my clientele with blessing from the two physicians I worked for in the PT center. They encouraged me to go ahead and open my own deal.
Yes.
So I had a built-in clientele from the beginning.
Okay.
Some of who are still with me today.
Yeah,
with the
Pilates
studio
become a lifelong commitment to oneself and to one's health. This is so wonderful to know. Could you tell us a little bit about your experience dealing with arthritis? Because there are many kinds of arthritis. For example,
Absolutely.
the painful ones and the others that are practically asymptomatic, but present movement ranges challenges.
I learned a tremendous amount about arthritis when I worked for the Arthritis Foundation, and there are over 100 forms of arthritis, anything from rheumatoid to osteo to several many forms, and people don't realize that although arthritis is a silent disease, it can be a deadly one, and people also do not realize. And I know that you do know all this, so I'm just repeating what you know.
For our audience.
Is that kids can develop juvenile rheumatoid arthritis.
Yes.
So it is a prevalent disease, and a huge number of beings do develop it as they age. We all like to not think that we do, but once injury, you will develop arthritis, usually in those joints. So I learned a tremendous amount. I helped teach programming and ran events for people with arthritis, and learned all about the different treatments. And the Arthritis Foundation says no matter what form, you should be exercising is one of the best forms. With rheumatoid, of course, we know not to move the joint that's in flare.
Yes.
But movement is the best thing to use for almost all forms of arthritis.
Awesome. And I want to ask you also about diabetes. And well, both arthritis and diabetes are inflammatory diseases.
Exactly. Yes.
So
yes.
There's like a threshold where movement and exercise can be good, and but after a certain point, movement can also be a source of inflammation. So, if, for example, with your 20 or so year-long clients that have a very good physical conditioning and very good training level, how would you determine how much challenge and how much growth is it recommended, and to what point would be like entering into a certain risk zone? I mean, for someone that has like diabetes, arthritis, or a circulatory problem but is stable and has a very good level, how would you take a very good physically fit and advanced client further, but that has these like conditions?
Great question. Well, for somebody that has severe arthritis, I was very fortunate enough when I worked for the rehab center to have access to heated pools. Okay. And so for the very most deconditioned clients, yes, I was able to do movement in the pools and develop a Pilates in the pool program, as well as a regular conditioning program for everybody that has rheumatoid, fibromyalgia, which is a very large, usually umbrella of types, to slight osteoporosis and knee and hip replacements. But those that are very highly fit, I feel, again, if they are in a flare, I'm going to do more stretching.
Yes.
And range of motion.
Okay.
And putting too much weight in any environment, in any fitness or Pilates environment, would not be the best way to go. I also work with a lot of people with neck and back issues, so making sure the head is supported and perhaps not lifted in our traditional mat exercises.
Yes.
And determine the proper load and resistance. But they always usually respond to, stretching of some sort without moving too deeply and causing too much stretching, which can cause the opposite effect. But I'm able usually to progress through the years, people with arthritis, to doing just a few, perhaps I'll say pre-Pilates movement,
yes,
as we teach in Balanced Body,
yes,
to a more vigorous workout, including all of the apparatus, through a slow progression. And again, when somebody's in flare, I'm going to down the workout, change. I might put them in a heated pool or encourage them to do their exercises in their pool. Okay,
it's a great image for me that you mentioned the pool, because and not adding too much load to the workout, because in a certain way the Pilates apparatus can create like a gravity neutral or non-gravity like experience where you have your body weight like sustained by the apparatus, and you can like fine-tune how much resistance you want to have. So this is a wonderful image. And we are already talking for about 10 minutes. Fantastic, time flies. So I would like you to ask you one last question, and this is with one of the famous quotes from Joseph Pilates, that he said that our prime time should arrive at 70 and old age should not arrive until 100 years. Also, this is like a huge revelation, and it's surprising that he was really ahead of his time with this vision, because the fit body, the healthy body, really has like almost its full range of capabilities until very old age. So then getting old and being young becomes something really relative. So I wonder, what would you like to elaborate on that idea of Joseph Pilates according to your experience, so to give a closure to our wonderful interview?
I love that quote. I truly believe that is true. Some of my best clients have been working through their 60s and 70s, and I personally just went through an additional training at 62, 63 of geriatric myself. Yes. And if I did not have the Pilates background, I do not think I physically, at this point, with, I have arthritis, I have, diabetes, I could have made it through without the conditioning of Pilates. Yes. I feel like the people that are actually the most dedicated are actually some of our older clientele who really see the benefits of aging. I love that quote. It is my true belief. And as I've said, I still have clients that, started with me 22 years ago in their 50s and are now in their 70s or approaching their 70s.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you so much, Pat. Let us know, how can our audience reach you? Do you have a Facebook page?
I certainly do. I have two separate Facebook pages. I have my personal Facebook page that everyone is welcome. It's open to the public to view me at Patricia Massey, Massey Welter, Welter. I also have our studio Facebook page, Suncoast Pilates, and I'm always welcome people to email me at pilates@suncoastpilates.com.
This is awesome, Pat. Thank you so much for this wonderful interview and sharing with us your views on Pilates. I am so honored and so happy to listen to you, and I hope we can talk further in another occasion in the future.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Big hug. Bye.
Big hug. Bye.